twist around. We must keep you from putting our kids in the ground, so we can't stand down. No, we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't stand down, brother. So we'll stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. 'Cause we know what's right. And we got plenty of fight. And if you think you're gonna keep pushing us around, well, you'll lose that crown. 'Cause we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've gotta stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. You know, it's pretty clear that these lunatics think they have the right to strip us of our rights of self-defense. And if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. No, we won't back down. Back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've gotta stand our ground. So we won't back down. No, we won't back down. Virginians, you won't fight this fight alone.
Hello, everybody. Happy Easter. Still got to echo, Philip. All right. Okay. Sorry. No echo. Oh, now there's an echo again. All right. Hang on. Okay. Let me try that. Okay. Can you guys online hear an echo or not? I think I fixed it. All right. Okay. Again, we have a lot on the plate for tonight. So, Philip, do you want to get started?
I was talking to one of our board members, Dennis O'Connor, and we were talking about this recent school shooting, and how you have all of these young adults lining up, protesting, wanting gun control, and all that. And he looked at this and he said to me, we should be a part of this. We should be there getting our people out, saying that we need to get rid of gun-free zones. every time one of these things happen, we should be organizing and do a protest saying we want to save lives. We want to get rid of the gun-free zones. They're killing kids. They're killing adults. We need to get rid of them. And
Yeah, Philip,
unless
your audio is breaking up and echoing.
okay,
So yeah, I agree with you. While you try to fix, I don't know if it's your earphone plugs or what. But I agree with you. Gun-free zones are dangerous places, and we're seeing more and more evidence that people that want to inflict harm on innocent people are targeting defense-free zones, is what they should really be called, because there's no such thing as a gun-free zone. There's no way you can guarantee that somebody's not going to sneak a gun in somehow. And, we see this over and over and over and over again ad nauseum.
yeah. Is my audio any better, or is it the same?
Yeah, great.
It's better. Okay. Yeah. So the problem is that the people are hearing one side message. They're hearing, oh, let's blame guns. Let's do something about guns. We all know it's not the gun. We know that, but a lot of the public never hearing that message. They're just hearing that somehow it's the guns a problem, and that's all they're hearing. They may not think about it deeply enough. This approach basically puts the ball back in the court of public opinion, basically saying the problem is people not able to protect themselves, nobody being on scene with a gun. So this is a thing I need to be thinking about how we can do this. But I think every time one of these happen, we should be in a position to test the gun-free zones. Let's work on getting rid of them. All these major shootings happen there. Let's not be always on the defensive on this thing, saying, "Well, people, guns don't kill people." But that's not the best message. The best message is we need to be able to protect themselves wherever they are and whatever they're doing. If the peace citizens need to protect themselves. So that's my thought on it. And I just brought it up. I really agree with him. The question is, how do we achieve that? It's the best way to do these protests. And this last case, this happened in Tennessee. So, in fact, our General Assembly in session. It's not like we down to the General Assembly they were doing and hold protests. There's nobody there. So we need to find a way to. Now, when the press contacts me, I always point this out. But it would generate press if we actually had people doing a protest. It's one for the press to call me just to see if I have a reaction or to get from our side. But it's another when they're also covering a story about a whole bunch of people saying that they're sick and tired of gun-free killing zones, and we want to put into it.
Absolutely. The media latches on to we've got to do something, and I think the do something has proven to be allow people the proper tools of defense. I mean, we give police officers firearms so that they can defend us and themselves against bad guys with guns. So why would we deny good, law-abiding, honest people the same ability, right, to defend their own lives? And you've brought up several times, Philip, that the Utah model, they allow anyone with a concealed handgun permit to carry on school property. So a bad guy They don't know if the janitor's armed, if the mom or dad that's there reading a book to the class or bringing cupcakes for a birthday party, they don't know if they're armed. They don't know if the person behind the desk in the office is armed. They have no idea who's armed and who's not, but they assume that there are people there that are legally armed and ready to stop them should they try something. So, how many school shootings has Utah had?
Zero.
None.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah, but again, we get in this mindset that well, even during the debates in the 12th district, the Senate district we had a few weeks ago, the one person had the mindset again that's very typical. Well, we need to get more off-duty police doing this. We need to get maybe military, off retired military. We don't need to restrict ourselves to that. What about the Second Amendment? And again, Dennis O'Connor argues that all the time. It's very simply, what about the Second Amendment? Why do we have to have the only police or only government involved in this? Why? What happened to our to defend ourselves, our children, and everyone else? What's wrong with just letting the Second Amendment be the protection that schools have?
And by the way, here's a news flash. The police officers, the military, all of those people are just people. And sure, they've had some training, but so have a lot of concealed handgun permit holders who may actually be military or may not. And they may have better skills than a lot of the police officers do. They may train more than some police officers do. Tess, one of our executive members, has pointed out that we get painted with the brush of being called a gun nut. Well, that's what people do when they run out of valid arguments and they can't come up with something to counteract a good idea is they start attacking the person and just calling them names. And we see that time and time again. So, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and we've got to start squeaking a lot more, I think.
Yeah, we do. And as soon as somebody uses the gun nut, they say, okay, so you lost the argument. The debate's over. Because now you've got nothing but in a personal attack. You have no logic, no reason to counter what we're saying. And but they will try that. Sure, they'll if you're a man, they well, it's related to the size of your sexual organs. That if again, it's all that. That's you could argue that for anything. You can't let it stop there. But that's where I point out they've lost. Okay, you're out of the argument. That you don't have anything valid to say on this issue. But they really go crazy when it comes to schools. Is some magic thing only government can. But the beauty of Utah is they don't require any training, as Pat was saying. But the deterrent level is so high that nobody really has had to actually get involved in defending a school because nobody's trying to attack one. That the deterrent level is that, and that's actually what we're looking for, isn't it? We're looking for a deterrent. None of us want to have to shoot anybody. We don't want to have to see anybody die if it's not necessary. So the deterrent is the ideal thing. As I've said before, and I'll repeat again for some of the new people, protecting a school is not that difficult. And there are those out there that sound like, oh, well, you've got to have all this training and this, that, and there. No, actually, you don't. Most school classrooms have one way in and one way out. They got a single door. All that needs to be done is for the teacher to get their students away from the door and off to the side. She gets behind something, locks her gun down on the door. That's it. The bad guy's got to come in through that door. And when he does, he's walking into a room where he doesn't know where everybody is. He has no idea if somebody's in the room, where they are, if they have a gun or not. He doesn't know any of it. So by the time he figures out maybe where the teacher is, the teacher probably could have shot 5 or 6 times before he could figure it out. That's why clearing a room or clearing a house is so dangerous. Who is in that house has got the advantage of the person coming in, because you can only come in certain places. But you can do, the person in the house could be anywhere. So that's the deterrent factor, and that's what works. If you don't have very many people in the school, that have guns, it's not going to be as big a deterrent as you have a lot more, and you have no idea who those people are. Is it a janitor? Is it a visiting parent? Is it the principal? Is it a parent that I guess just happened to be visiting? You just don't know. And it could be all of the above.
Yeah, and it not just that. There, you assume that there's multiple people that have the capability of stopping the attack. So we do have. Okay, so somebody's asking if Utah has had a school shooting since they allowed CHP to carry on school property. And no, they have not. They absolutely zero, no problems whatsoever. So one of the other things that we see, though, is the media calling things school shootings that aren't necessarily school shootings. Something near the school that was totally unrelated to the school, all kinds of things like that. And we see, especially the anti-gun groups like Giffords, and it's picked up by the media that this was one of these school shootings. So that's something to watch for when you hear people talking about things and you start seeing these statistics. Excuse me, look them up and see what the statistics really are.
Yeah, they definitely play games. We know that. The other side can't win on the actual facts. So they look at maybe a survey which control or is done by somebody that's biased, or they pick up statistics, or the way they gather the statistics is another thing, as Pat was saying. They say 2 in the morning, 2 gangbangers shot each other or shot at each other in the school. That's a school shooting. Well, there were kids around at 2 in the morning. There was nobody around, but they count that. I kid you not, count that as a school shooting. So they're looking for anything to raise those numbers up so that it scares people. It's all about fear.
Right.
If they can't control you by the facts, they scare you.
So another trick that they use is they change their criteria for mass shootings. And so they'll say, well, mass shootings are on the rise, but what's actually happened is they started counting where 3 people were injured or killed instead of where 5 people were injured or killed. And they changed the parameters so there's more incidents included so that they can say, oh, these are on the rise. And it's difficult sometimes to catch the games that they're playing unless you go and dig deep into the data.
Yeah, exactly. I see there was a question about the tenacious DD-214, somebody in the military. A question: how come VCDL hasn't worked with or created a company that can contract gunfighters to deploy to schools and act as a show of force or have organized volunteers to do so? Well, you have to understand Virginia law. You cannot, unless you are very select number of people right now, primarily law enforcement or retired law enforcement, you can legally have a gun on school property. So that's the problem. I suppose you could have somebody standing off the school property, but that really, that's not what we're going for. The deterrent, the ideal deterrent, believe it or not, isn't open carry or anything of that nature. The ideal deterrent is sealed carry, because that way the bad guy does not know who's armed. Who does he shoot? He know, and that is a big deterrent. This is a problem that we have with resource officers. If you got one resource officer in a school, all the bad guy has to do is wait for that resource officer to leave to go somewhere like lunch or maybe to go to a different school, or comes up, sneaks up, and takes out the resource officer. Then he knows that he's got the school under his control. Now, an example of this fear of having a security was in this Tennessee case. The person that shot up school had another location. I was probably a school as well. That she was considering to shoot, but there's too much security, she wrote, and called it off and went to the other school. She didn't have that security, so that worked. That was an example. So again, much the shooter at the movie theater in Colorado, he bypassed a whole bunch of theaters that were much closer to him and were even bigger to find one of them that banned gun and attack that theater. This is what happened in Tennessee. The murderer looked at one location and researched it and said it's too much security. I'm not going to do it. So she picked a school she's familiar with that did not have security, and we know what had happened from there. I highly credit the police there for unlike Uvalde. These guys didn't say, oh, the guy, the woman shooting us has an AR-15. We better stay outside. No, they didn't do any of that crybaby stuff. They went in immediately. And in this video, they went right in and they stopped the shooter. Just as soon as they figured out where she was, took her out. They didn't hesitate. That's how it's done.
So, Tenacious D, to have armed security on school property, it has to be hired by the school, is the short answer to that question. As an outside organization, VCDL cannot hire a contractor to do that. I suppose we could work with school boards and try to help them make informed decisions, and I'm sure we'd be more than willing to do that. But as far as hiring armed security or any kind of security for the school, the school boards and the localities have to do that. We can't do it ourselves.
Abel wins a couple comments here. In Columbine, he noted that they would for the three police officers to be outside the building at lunch. Again, you know who's carrying. If teachers and everybody else, an adult, could carrying a Columbine, they wouldn't have known for sure that everybody was out of the building. It would have changed the whole dynamic. You also, Abel mentions the FAST program, FAST program in Ohio. That is a training program for teachers that does teach them how to defend a class and how to handle guns and them a lot of technical and tactical training. And that allowed teachers to be carrying in the schools in Ohio. Our view is that's fine. Nothing wrong with training, believe me. VC has always recommended you get as much training as you can. But on the other hand, again, we would argue that having armed people there that concealed carry permits should be sufficient to be a deterrent. But they were, again, sometimes you have to find a way to get foot in the door, and with all the people that are just scared of the guns, this was saying, well, again, we have a certain class of people who can protect a school. I don't like it, but it's a reality that's again a good place to start. Once we show that that's working, then maybe adding regular people being able to carry concealed, and maybe not even permits. These states that have constitutional carry, why do you need to have a permit? Why carry concealed might be the rule at school product. But if push comes to shove, concealed handgun permit holders be the end of the world if that's all allowed, because they do have a background check.
So Roddy's rule has pointed out that they arm courthouses pretty well. Why can't they do that with schools? But the problem with that is that each time you arm or set up some sort of a defensive barrier like that, it costs the county money or the city money. And my particular county, let's see, off the top of my head, I'd say we've got 10 schools in Hanover County where we only have one courthouse. So it costs a lot less to defend the courthouse than it does to defend the schools. So by allowing concealed handgun permit holders, who, by the way, have to go through background checks, they have to take a certain amount of training, and they are one of the most law-abiding demographics out there. Some studies say that they're more law-abiding than even law enforcement officers. So if you allow them to carry on school property, then you've created that situation, like Philip said, where a would-be attacker has no idea who's carrying, who's not carrying, but they're pretty sure that there's more than one person carrying on the property. And that's the biggest deterrent. So, and it costs the locality absolutely nothing.
Right. Yeah. Cost is a part of it. But again, I just like the idea that there could be a lot of people carrying. That's such a deterrent. It's you just don't know. No, you don't know what you're stepping into, bad guy. And anyhow, it's work. It's not like oh, we're just imagining what it would be like. Utah should, and they're not the only state. Others will allow it as well. They've showed that this stuff works. It's not as complicated as people want to make it to be. Abel's talking about Sandy Hook and Apple. Physicals had locked and armored doors and windows. Again, there are ways around things. For example, at school, somebody could slide a gun on a fence, walk around, go through the detectors and get in, all that kind of security. Walk out in the yard by wherever they stuck that gun through the fence, and now they're armed and inside. So it doesn't matter how they get their gun. If you need people inside on the spot that can respond to that as fast as possible. Again, if there had been armed people in there, they wouldn't wait around for the police to show up in Nashville.
The point is, we've had gun-free school zones for quite some time, and it's obviously not working. So it's time to try something different. And the most logical path is the path that has been shown to be effective. I mean, let's face the facts. How many gun stores or gun ranges do you see getting armed at gunpoint or somebody going in and trying to shoot the place up? They just don't, because they know there's armed people there that can and will stop them.
Yeah, and if they do try, and it's been tried, it almost always ends in failure. Rather quick and fatal fail on the side of the attack. The case that I'd heard of was one where they snuck after closing on a person in a gun store that was closing and shot them, I guess in the back in a surprise shooting. But that's it's so unusual. The only case I've ever like that, and there are thousands of gun stores.
I mean, there have been a couple of instances that I'm aware of where somebody went into a police station, guns blazing, and we call that suicide by cop, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's what their intention was. So
Yeah,
it
and
doesn't happen very often, though.
there's also a question about let's see, ask about what are we to get gun-free zones repealed. Well, that's we're working on that a little at a time. It's we don't have a lot of them in Virginia, but the main one, and again, that most people are concerned about is schools, but do have some localities that have made their parks and their government buildings gun-free zones. And working on that, we struck down some of the gun-free zones in the city of Winchester, and we've got some more that are going to come up in a court case later this year. I tell you what, this sections are going to matter this year again. November 7th is elections in Virginia. The entire General Assembly is up for re-election. So this is an opportunity to turn the ship around and start repealing these laws that allow local gun control and maybe change some of our other laws so that we get rid of the gun-free zones. But right now, the only way we can do it is through the courts, and we are working that angle. It's just wheels of justice turn very slowly when you go through the system to get it done.
Yeah, so we've been working through the courts and we've been working through the legislature. Sadly, the last several years, the repeals of gun-free zones that we've had introduced have not made it out of the Senate. But we'll have to see how the elections go. The entire General Assembly is up for election this coming November. So pay attention to the primaries and conventions that are coming up in May and June. That's where you're going to get the candidates that you will want to vote for in November. And, the people say, well, I wish we had somebody worth voting for. The primaries or the conventions is where you pick the person that's worth voting for. So check out who's running. You can go on VPAP and see who's running in your district. Your districts are changing for most of you. You can get that information on VPAP as well. And be a part of the solution by making sure we get a General Assembly in there in January of 2024 that will help to overturn some of these gun-free zones and get us back on the right path.
And we'll be doing a survey of all the candidates. You'll also be able in a primary, you'll be able to see each candidates and how they are a survey, and that may all help you. You should be involved in the primary again, and that'll help you to decide who you should be supporting primary. We've got the best possible candidate running in the general election. If you have a good candidate in the general election, it's not going to get the turnout that you need. You need good people in there that people are willing to come out. I see that we have feds here push for constitutional carry, and yeah, absolutely, we've been pushing that for quite a few years. We also have somebody that showed up for support, one of the Connecticut Citizens Defense League members. Their president's Holly Sullivan, who I talk from time to time. They've got a very good president up there. He's doing a great job. So we certainly welcome our CCL, the members up there to come visit us. Appreciate that. Yeah, another comment by Tenacious DD14. Nova's the problem. It's a lot of the problem. It's not all of it, but it certainly is a major part of it. But again, this is where you've got to keep, if you live there, Nova, Northern Virginia, you need to be trying to, educate your neighbors. If you got some neighbors that don't know much about guns, maybe they're on the other side of the fence politically, go ahead and invite them shooting. Take them out, teach them safety first, and then take them to the range. Show them what it's like, how friendly people are. Take them to a show. I think they'll be amazed that it's nothing like what their thing's like, and how nice everybody is, and how safe it is.
Yeah, So that's another thing that VCDL has started, a new program, VCDL Academy, and we mentioned it last month. Um, a lot of people, the youth of today, the young adults, as they come through the school system, they are taught, especially in the colleges, but in the high schools as well, that guns are bad and guns are scary. And so we need to do a better job of reaching out to these young people and showing them that guns are not scary. They do demand respect, but if you use the proper safety methods and understand what you're doing, just like driving a car, you have to understand how to use it, how it works, and the rules of the road. Same thing with firearms. And by reaching these young people, hopefully we can change public perception and let them know that guns aren't this terrible thing. That yes, some people do terrible things with guns. Some people do terrible things with cars. They use them to get away from a bank robbery or to drive through a crowd and mow people down. We've seen that. So, but that doesn't mean the car is bad. It means a bad person used it in the wrong way.
Okay, and I see Paul Woodall says, I understand the concept of constitutional carry. However, it doesn't mean as I travel a lot of states, visit family, and I still need my permit. Yes, for now, but you got to look down the road. Right now, 26 states have constitutional carry. So if you're traveling those states, you don't need your permit. It's only the other states you need a permit for. So as more and more go to constitutional carry, the odds go up. You'll be traveling to a state that you need a permit, so it'll work just fine. The problem now is going to Maryland. You need to have a permit to carry in Maryland or D.C. But if you're going to Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, places like you don't need a permit. So we're working on getting in the Second Amendment where it should be, but it's not going to happen overnight. Now, again, as I've said before, there may be a point you're still going to need a permit to go to certain places that are maybe considered sensitive. They want you to have a permit to carry there. Maybe it would be rules, but I don't expect permits to be going away anytime soon. But it may be that less people need them.
Oh, let's see. So, one thing too, when you're talking to people that have not been around guns or exposed to guns, is you can ask them questions and ask them leading questions. Like, for instance, one time Philip was talking to a reporter, and Philip, you want to tell the story about the woman and you asked her about her daughter and how she would protect her?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was being interviewed all day by a reporter from the Washington Post years ago. And, I finally said, well, can I ask you because you've been talking to me and asking me questions for hours now. She said, sure. I said, so if you were attacked by a violent criminal, you would just give him what he wants, right? In other words, rather than carry a gun, you'd give him your wallet or whatever, your car, whatever he wants. She said, yeah, that's what I would do. I said, whatever, you told me you're a mother. Would you give her your little girl if that's what you wanted? Would you just hand her over so that you didn't have to have a gun? And that question, I mean, her eyes turned to lasers with X-ray beams coming in at me. The thought of someone touching her child, her little girl. I don't blame her. Made her, I could see, boy, that just changed her whole train of thought. She just, for whatever reason, she hadn't considered that. Hadn't considered that her little life could be on the line, and that if somebody drove that girl, she may never see her again, or at least not alive. So, sometimes you get further by just letting people come to their own conclusion by having a few simple questions. There is a list. I see a question about does anyone have a list of constitutional carry states? There is one online. You can search for it. You'll find it. It's also we have the questions that we ask legislators on the website for their survey. If you download the survey, one of the questions lists all of these states, except it doesn't show Florida. Florida just happened. But it shows 25 and provides the names of all states. But add Florida to that, and then you're at the current states, like Texas, West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, I believe both have this. So going west out of Virginia, you're in pretty good shape. But they're 26. But some may never be that way, like New York, New Jersey. But if you're not going to those places, and the rest of the United States is becoming constitutional carry, you have a great need for permit. It will just depend on where you're going.
So Abel gave an interesting comment here. FBI statistics: one person dead every 18 seconds. Normal armed police response 10 to 12 minutes. So that one every 18 seconds, I haven't looked at the statistic, but I would double dog bet you that that includes defensive gun uses. Because I know for a fact that the CDC, when they do the cause of death by firearm, they lump criminal homicide and justified homicide together as homicide.
They're probably including suicides in that number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Suicides are not gun violence. But the other side can't ever tell the truth.
Yeah, so the CDC actually came up with that 2.5 million defensive gun uses. They were commissioned to do a study on defensive gun uses, and it didn't turn out the way that
they buried it.
They wanted it to.
Report.
So yeah, so they quit tracking that, by the way.
Yeah, well, the control crowd got involved in twin arms because it's an unscrupulous that they do. So again, they get to lie about stuff. Or if they don't like it, they get it pulled. They're not about going with facts. They're about cheating or doing whatever they have to do to get the way. And it gets time, but we have to keep fighting these guys. And there was a comment earlier about somebody commented that well, try and vote out tyrants and laughing out loud kind of thing. Now, the vote is there. It worked. If it was there tyrants in there. But yeah, I've seen them get voted out. It's not easy. In part, it's not easy. Is people don't get out and vote. Too many guns. If everybody that gun in Virginia voted right, we could have pretty much anything we needed. We have a huge number of people, but they just don't do it. So a couple of other things to talk about as well. Going back to schools. So there was a bill in Congress that would give more money so schools could be hardened. They could have better doors or whatever, various other kinds of security issues. And Biden and a lot of the Democrats said no to that. The only thing they did is an assault weapon ban. And assault weapons are rarely used to people. It's extremely rare. And by assault weapons, using their terminology, a semi-automatic rifle with certain ugly features on it they don't like a bayonet lug, so that people can go around bayoneting other people. That stuff is all they want, and it would at the end it wouldn't work. It's just politics playing with our rights, and we just have to stand up and fight for that. California has had another hit on their gun control. A judge there has down the handgun roster. So you can buy handguns that are approved by the state of California. So other states have these as well. I think, trying to remember who they are. It might be New Jersey.
Massachusetts had one or was trying to pass one. So
Yeah,
Massachusetts, you got to have the 10-pound trigger pull and a few other features. And New
yeah,
Jersey also.
yeah. So that's been struck down as unconstitutional. I don't know right now if they've appealed that. They only had a certain amount of time to appeal that, and it sounded like they were going to fight it. And so we'll see what happens with that. But this is one of a whole series of dominoes that continue to fall on the gun control side, starting to come apart because of the Bruin decision. The Bruin decision put us where we should have been the last 150 years. And it's now finally starting to reset us back to where we should be. And it's taken down all this unconstitutional gun control that's been out there, costing lives every year because good people can't protect themselves. Something else
Yep.
I'd bring up is some people emailed me because after our event where we had sort of a debate up down for the 12th Senate District in Virginia. Each of the candidates all said that they won the debate. so I have a few emails saying, well, they all said who won. Well, VCDL didn't win or a loser. The idea wasn't to do that from the beginning. The idea was to let you hear the debate, listen to what's said, listen to how the candidates speak, how they think, and express themselves to help you decide who to vote for coming up soon. That's all. We were picking winners or losers. So, not surprisingly, all three of them that they won. But officially, we did it. It's up to you. You decide who was the winner, because that will be where your votes cast in the primary coming up.
Yeah, actually, if you want to come right down to it, I think the real winner is the voter in the 12th district, because the candidates all got up there and answered the questions to the best of their ability, and the voters that paid attention to what was being said now have more information to make their decision on in the primary. And we should be posting the video to that pretty soon. There was a little bit of editing to be done, just putting in titles and things like that. And I think that's just about done. So watch for that. It'll be in a VA alert when we post that.
Yeah. And again, I see one of the comments that got a little back and forth going here. VCDL focuses on gun controllers. Now, there's some realities that you kind of you can't ignore. For example, most of the members of VCL are white males. That's just the way it is. Not that we pick it that way. Just who's mostly involved, and mostly older males. Now, the female side is growing. We're getting more people we're getting a little more blacks and Latinos and so forth. Those numbers have been growing over time. We want as many of every kind we can get. But what we're going against are anti-gunners. Most anti-gunners, most of them are left side of the political spectrum, but they're not all on the left are against gun control, gun rights. and not all on the far right or on the right are for gun rights. Some of them like gun control. But again, the numbers by far, there's more left. But we avoid ignoring a whole group of people when not all of them are unified on being anti-gun. Nor can we say that everybody on the far right is all our friends, because no, not all of them are, but probably most of them. But so we don't like getting paid if misuses a gun. I don't like somebody blaming me for what some criminal's done with a gun. I want to be painted with that brush because we both own guns. So it's the same thing with the left. We don't go after them as a group because again, what we go for is anybody that's against our right to keep and bear arms. We don't care about whatever else they believe in. That's them. That's their right to believe whatever else they want to believe. If they're against our rights, those are the people who push back whether on the right or on the left or down the middle. It doesn't
So,
matter.
yeah, and something to consider here. First off, I can tell you for a fact that since COVID, especially, a lot of the new gun owners are Democrats, and they have come to a realization that the government is not there to protect them, and that if someone bad tries to do something bad to them or their family, then they are the ones that are the first line of defense. So a lot of people that never considered owning a gun before went out and bought a gun. A lot of people that never considered owning a gun before took classes and got concealed handgun permits. And these are the people that we need to include in our family, in the VCDL family and the gun owner family, and welcome them and convince them that they need to vote for that right. They need to pressure even their Democrat senators and delegates. They need to talk to these people and say, look, I'm a Democrat. I voted for you, but I don't want you to vote in a way that's going to restrict my right to defend myself and my family. So if we can embrace people with other ideas about other things, but we have that common factor of wanting to preserve and restore the right to keep and bear arms, then we can win this battle. But we won't do it by calling people names and excluding them from our family. We lose
Yeah,
them if
we
we
don't
do that.
want to be divisive. We've got enough of that in America. However, people we do divide ourselves from are merely those that are on the other side. And there we don't get violent with them. We have all the facts. We've got all that is on our side. The logic, the reason, the facts. We've got all that. And that's why they don't debating us, because they lose. They're going to lose. They don't unless they start calling names. And if they start that, then I just point out that I said earlier, the debate's over. You've lost. Once you go to that you're done. I see that Abel Windsor has listed a lot of the states that have constitutional carry. If you're looking at comments, you'll get to those. He's got that down: Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Utah, West Virginia, Wyoming, and now Florida. So that's a lot of seats and a lot of place a lot of you people go that you don't need to have a permit. Doesn't hurt to have them, but you can. There are places you can go without them. That's the main point. Mark Ching says Virginia next. Yeah, that is I hope, but you've got to get out and vote and give us the majorities that we need. I can tell you that the appetite for constitutional carry in the General Assembly has gone way up over time as more states have been doing this. That appetite up. So if we can just get the right people in there, we can make it a reality. Also, there's a question: what is Governor Duncan doing about all of this? Well, he's not in a position to do much about it. He will be, if things go well in the elections this year, he'll be in a major position to help out by signing a bunch of gun laws the law next year. This year he signed every gun rights bill we got on his desk. They mostly they were. He also did a knife bill where he signed the we can carry switchblade concealed starting July 1st. Or you could own them last year. You could own them as of last July. As of this July, be able to put them in your pocket, which is where they were supposed to be anyhow. So he signed that. There was no issue. He signed all the other 5 bills were on his desk. So he's done everything he can at this point with what he's got going for him. The Democrats years ago a bunch of stuff through the governor doing executive actions. But when they got control in 20, they turned a lot of that stuff into law, so that when Young got in, he could just undo these executive actions. To wait for the General Assembly to pass a bill and get on his desk to begin unraveling all this gun control. So he's at this point. We've not seen the issues. Will he sign like constitutional care? I certainly so, but he's yet to be tested on that powerful.
Right, but he signed everything that made it to his desk gun related this year, and all the bad gun bills got killed, but there were a few good bills that made it through.
Yeah, she says Dems won't vote for a right-wing Republican. Guns are only one issue. Well, that's true. However, it can put a whole lot of pressure on if they have a Democrat representing them. They can start saying, I'm really fed up with this gun control. I like you on other things, but I can't stand your position on gun control. If they start hearing that from enough people, or people do walking away. People have walked away from the Democrat to become Republicans. I mean, it does happen. It doesn't happen in big numbers. But, as things get wilder and wilder out there and more people get involved in gun rights, some of them are going to say, you know what, my most important right is my right to protect myself. Everything else is a notch below that. And if they're worried about it, that causes them to change how they vote. It was going to affect my way to vote if I was in a situation where I was losing my right to self-defense if I voted for one, even if I was a member of the party. But for people, it's not that big an issue. Yeah, they get into guns and they've got all these other things that are higher level. Yeah, they may not change their voting, but again, it let their legislators know that guns are important to them. We can maybe change some minds up there on the legislator. These people want to get elected, and if you threaten that, or they feel threatened on it, well, I've seen change direction.
Yeah, and maybe we should turn the term gun nut into something that illustrates somebody that has an unhealthy phobia. They're just absolutely nuts. They think guns are evil things when they're inanimate objects. So maybe we should start controlling the language a little more, like the anti side has done.
Yeah. Well, language is one thing. That's again, the side doesn't have much, but what they do have. They try to make the most of, and they have to control the narrative.
Yeah.
So they come up with terms and things.
So one thing we can do is not use the term shooter when there's an attack, assailant, murderer, attacker, anything like that. Put the focus back on the person that did the bad thing instead of the object that they used. So if somebody clubs their spouse to death with a golf club, you don't call them a golfer or a clubber, you call them a murderer. So when you talk about things, think about the terms that you're using. Um, gun show loophole is a made up term. Assault weapon is a made up term. When people come into my store and say, "Do you have any assault rifles or assault weapons?" I tell them, if I pick up the laptop and hit you over the head with it, it becomes an assault weapon. But all of those rifles over there on the rifle rack are just rifles. That's all they are, unless you use them as to assault someone. So, yeah, language is everything.
Yeah, and Warsaw Patriot was taught Moms Demand and other groups have become far left cult. Yeah, well, they pretty much have. I don't know that they have conservative members. Again, it's just a cluster of people getting behind a certain concept. And I think I still say a lot of them are paid. That the real allegiance is money more than anything else. Now there are exceptions to that, but a lot of them I believe are really just paid to show up, paid to do stuff and cause trouble. Um, let's see. And Tess, yeah, going back to what, yeah, Tess makes another point, Tess Elshire. If a Democrat won't vote Republican because of, they won't do it, she points out they could just sit the election out and say, well, Mr. Democrat, I can't bring myself for a Republican, but I'm not going to vote at all. I'm not going to vote for you either. I'm going to get it out. And that makes sense, and that's not a power in it. If a lot of Democrats are fed up with their legislators pushing gun control, sat out the election, that would definitely solve that issue. It would definitely get the attention of the gun controlling politicians and get them out of office. Replace people that think right about guns.
So we have a question. How close are we in Virginia to constitutional carry, in your opinion?
Well, the next election will tell us. If we have people elected in the Senate and the House stays under control as it is now, I think we stand a very good chance of doing it. I think we're just seeing a lot of positive responses, but it won't be. We'll have to push for it. I'm sure there's some Republicans out there that are going to get cold feet in the time if the time comes that their vote would actually could pass it. So when that time comes, when we've got the bill in there, we're really going to have guys pushing hard and getting the word out to all of your friends, family, everybody at your ranges, all that, to get hold of their legislators and really put the pressure on to get the our constitutional carry bill signed. And
Absolutely. And another thing that really helps a lot when you have senators and delegates that vote correctly, send them an email and thank them and show them that you're watching, and give them a little moral support. It goes a long way when you show that support, because they know that they're fighting for people that care about it and that people are watching. So, it's just like if you have a job where your boss only yells at you when you do something wrong, but never pats you on the back when you do something right, you lose motivation for that job pretty quickly. So it's that they're people too, and they can use that moral support.
yeah, and showing that you're a nice person too. That you're full and are willing to thank somebody, and remind them that they're doing what you and other gun owners and other Americans want. I had a
Right.
couple other things. We're getting up on 9 o'clock. This happened a couple months ago, but elite shooting in Prince William was purchased by the county to become a gun range for the police to train on. Turns out that the owner of elite shooting wanted to retire. And I don't know if he approached the county or the county approached him. I don't know how it is, but he ended up selling out for $22 million. And some people are a little upset about that. Well, we don't know that the range wouldn't have closed if he had sold out to the police, so it might have been going away anyway. I don't know, but that's a possibility. Unfortunately, when I remember the date that it was going to become a police range. Was it like May something? Do you remember, Pat?
I don't remember, Philip.
I want
I'm
to say
sorry.
it was in May sometime that they were going. I don't know what they're going to do. Memberships to any of you that be a member of Elite Shoot. I don't know. You might want to, if you haven't heard this before, you might want to get in touch with them, find out what the deal is.
Yep.
Let's see. Another that's had on my list to talk about briefly was a sheriff in Florida. Florida's got darn good sheriffs down there. We have some good ones up here as well. Got quite many examples of some sheriffs, and they're constitutional officers, so they don't owe their allegiance to the county supervisors or anybody like that. They owe their allegiance to the people elected them. But one of them, they just had a shooting of 3 people in Florida, and it was some crime related between all of them, and three young people, one a teenager. Was I can't remember how old, 12, 13 or something, was killed, and a couple others. And during the press conference, one of the reporters tried to bring up, something about guns, like easy access to or something. And the sheriff put his foot down and said, "Don't talk to me about guns. Guns are not the problem here. The problem was evil people that went out and murdered other people. That's the problem. Don't talk to me about guns. Guns are not the issue." And it was standing ovation for me. We need more sheriffs to stand up and chiefs of police and do the thing in these press conferences. Don't let the press get away with this whole thing of trying to push the guns the narrative. It's the that did it. And I love seeing law enforcement standing against that.
Yep. Same thing, back to the language thing. We hear all of these bills submitted that we need to do something about gun violence, and we hear the media spouting gun violence and politicians spouting gun violence. Do they not care about other means of inflicting violence on people? So, gun violence is another one of those made up terms. There's no really such thing as gun violence. There's violence, and the tool that you use doesn't make it more or less violent. If you're dead, you're dead. So watch for people using that term. And I want to back up, Philip, if you don't have something else that you wanted to say there.
Go ahead.
So let me find the comment here. Somebody was saying, here we go. Michael Dalton was saying that in his travels, he noticed a number of 18 to 21-year-olds talking about guns and politics. And this is one of the focuses of the VCDL Academy, Michael. So the idea is send them to VCDL and specifically VCDL Academy. So they can go to vcdl.org/academy and learn about the youth outreach program. And Philip is in the process of putting together a curriculum for some classes and events around the state. So, keep your eye on that and send them our way.
Yeah, and definitely wanted to get all the various types of curriculum set up so that we can have a fairly broad way to educate our college students and even high school students on Second Amendment, how to get involved in politics, all that stuff. It's a really broad agenda to help the youth, the future of the country, understand what rights really are, because the school's not teaching them any of this stuff that we're teaching them. So that the curriculum is being put together right now. And
Yep. I was hoping
tomorrow,
Al would join us tonight, but being Easter, I'm sure he had things to do. So watch for Al on future. Al Evans is our engagement director for VCDL Academy, and he should be joining us for future lives. So watch out for him.
Yeah, he was pointing out, yeah, a lot of these guns that are being used by criminals, they get from car break-ins, and that's accurate. I'm recently hearing a lot about that. A lot of these guns are people leaving using crime came people who left their guns in the car.
Yeah,
It's
and
really, if you're going to
frankly,
leave, if you got to leave your car, a gun safe for it that's attached to the car, and very hard, hopefully, somebody to get into the gun out of. Some people may have a reason. Well, it's gun-free zones. Get rid of those too, because gun zones are forcing us to leave our guns in the car, and in turn, that's going to feed the bad guys get their hands onto guns. So the reason to get rid of gun zones.
yeah, absolutely. That is one of the side effects of gun-free zones. I mean, if I was a criminal looking for a gun, I would go in a parking lot of one of these gun-free zones and see if you can find a gun in a car. That's a given. Maybe that's
So
these guns on the streets that they're trying to solve or something. I don't know.
I keep looking for free guns on the street, and I can't find them. I have to buy them from you, Pat, every time I
Hmm.
turn around.
Yep.
There was also, let's see, Featherless asking if the VCDL communicates with other defenses in surrounding states. We do on occasion. We had actually the president of the Citizens Defense League and I were talking a while back maybe having a conference and getting the gun leaders, some here on the East Coast, to get together and maybe share ideas, have a mini conference. But we've not actually pulled that off yet. But I think it's worth doing, and we'll see where that goes. But there are quite a few organizations that are either since defense leagues or effectively are, but don't have that name, like Maryland Shoe is an example of one, and there are quite a few such examples. But we do communicate from time to time. But I think we need to
Absolutely.
have that conference.
So we've gotten a question a couple of times. What is next for VCDL? Um, there's a ton of stuff. Constitutional carry is high on the list. Um, Philip, you want to talk about maybe some of the lawsuits we've got going on and things?
Yeah, well, we've got a lawsuit. In fact, it was heard dealing with universal background checks, and we're trying to get that ruled unconstitutional, and so that we pleaded our case and are waiting. We'll see where that goes. We have a case coming up in July that deals with the ban on guns in community and recreation centers. We've already won one in Winchester. It's ban in parks and a ban permitted events. But we're waiting on the other part of that shoe to fall. That's coming later. Then we're also looking at some other localities like Winchester to go after, and we're looking, and we'll be preparing to do that. Our hope is that we can get some of those struck down, or maybe it's struck down statewide. That's possible. That is something that we could have happen maybe in July. Have the local gun ban and park recreation center that are just struck down statewide. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. We're fighting for that though. We were part of a push on the buttocks federally. We've teamed up with GOA And that not because we love bump stocks, but because we knew that if that was left alone, the BATF would be coming for things, and they did. Sure enough, they came for the race on rifles. Same thing, making up as they go along. That's what that loss is about, preventing them doing that.
Yep. And I think there's a case that's working through for the one handgun a month as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. One handgun a month is.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of different things out there. Just the court system is just slow. Really, it's better to get the law changed. And so we really, these elections are so important
Yep.
in November. So let's get the law fixed. We could do so much quicker if we just get the General Assembly to just take this stuff off the books and get rid of it.
And speaking of elections, the VCDL PAC has a lot of work to do this year with the entire General Assembly, both the House of Delegates and the Senate up for election. So their annual fundraiser, the Top Gun Shoot, is held in Powhatan, and they're moving it to August this year. So watch your emails. You'll be getting notice pretty soon about the Top Gun event. And that is a dueling tree competition, which is a ton of fun. And the winner gets $1,000. So, and the runner-up gets $100. But it is a fundraiser that is fun for the donors as well.
Let's see. There was somebody mentioned about military grade, another term.
Hmm.
I've been hearing them used too. And again, also remind everybody that military grade bearable weapons are exactly, citizens bearing those is exactly what the Second Amendment is all about. So
Absolutely.
don't forget that. Everybody says, well, but that's a military weapon. Well, yeah, I'm allowed to have military grade weapons under the Second Amendment, bearable military grade weapons.
So the other thing is you hear them talking about AR-15s and saying we need to get these weapons of war off the streets, and yet police departments have AR-15s.
Yeah,
So
they go in war.
yeah, and who would they be going to war against if they need these weapons of war? So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I guess
food
there
for
was.
thought there.
Yes, and we need to keep reminding people again that it's our right. Somebody was asking about Florida sheriff's gun control cannot stop criminals from getting guns. Thoughts? Well, gun control has always been about controlling people, not lowering crime. Never has been about lowering crime. Crime is the excuse for gun control. We've got to do something because we've got to stop these criminals from getting. So we've got to take away everybody's guns. That's like saying, well, we got to see these drunk drivers, so we're taking everybody's car. So it's never been about stopping criminals from getting guns. It's from stopping people like you or an undesirable group. Originally started because they didn't want black people to have guns. And in New York, they didn't want Italians to have guns. That's what it's about. And that's why it doesn't work for stopping criminals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the definition of criminal is someone that doesn't obey the law, right? So
Yeah.
that's
So we keep going in circles with this, and we just need to stop playing into the fact that this has anything to do with reducing crime. I don't buy it. It's not about that, and don't sucked into really trying to argue how this is going to reduce how gun control reduces crime, because it's not about that, and it doesn't do it.
right. All right. We are at an hour and 20 minutes. The time has
Yeah,
really
time.
flown by
Yeah.
tonight. Good questions from you guys, and we really appreciate you stopping in on your Easter Sunday evening. Philip, do you have anything else that you need to address before we sign off here?
No, I don't think so. Is this one maybe? Is this the week? Is this the month they're going to do? When is our live meeting? Uh,
The live meeting in person will be, let's see, third
the
Thursday
set.
is the 20th.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
So
that's a
it will
week
be the
from
20th.
Thursday.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So as you in Northern Virginia, we'll be meeting in Loudoun County at our usual place up there at XCal shooting range at 8 p.m. We'll have some remind me alert. I'll be putting an alert out pretty soon. I was playing hooky last week and took my first vacation in like 3 or 4 years, uh, and so I didn't look at any emails that entire time. I have 2,000 and some emails to go through that I haven't yet touched. So I'm probably going to be doing a lot of that tomorrow. But at some point this week, I'll need to get another alert out. Unless some emergency thing happens, in which case it will go out as necessary. But if you send me an email and I haven't gotten back, that's why. It's you're in a long list of emails that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. So starting tomorrow morning, I'll be through those. And if I respond to an email, I don't respond to all of them because there are so many, but I do read them all. And some will respond, especially if I need to respond, and sometimes I don't, just depending on how much time I got that day. Anyhow, that's all I had.
Yep. So we did get a question. When is the next gun show? You can go to vcdl.org/events, plural, events, and see what gun shows are coming up. And you can also see how to sign up to volunteer at a gun show. We have VCDL members that take shifts. There's a morning shift and an afternoon shift each day of the show. If you volunteer to work the VCDL booth, you get into the gun show for free. And a lot of the vendors will give VCDL volunteers discounts. So it's a fun thing to do, great way to meet other gun people and other VCDL members, and it helps us out. So go ahead.
I was saying, I know analytical habitual says so if I have the money to purchase a military tank, I can get it right. I believe the answer is there is still owning a
Absolutely.
tank. Some rich people can afford them. Where you would get one,
Yep.
that I don't know. I don't have enough money to buy one. It would be a lot of fun, but I don't know the
Now,
details.
over 50 caliber, you have to get a tax stamp. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you might have to do that. It's like people say, well, you can't own a hand grenade. Well, yes, you can. If you want to pay the tax and register that hand grenade, you can absolutely buy a live hand grenade. And if you use that hand grenade, then you just wasted the cost of the hand grenade, which is expensive, and the tax stamp. So, and you can't use it in such a way that will damage people or property that's not your own.
Yeah, a lot of
So,
people don't know.
yep, a lot of people think you can't own a machine gun, and you absolutely can. If you want to go through all the paperwork and expense of owning a machine gun, you can own it.
Yeah, and cannons, people, you
Hmm.
can own a cannon. Sure.
And by the
Yep.
way, you don't have to go through a background check to buy a cannon.
Yeah.
So it's a black powder, a muzzle loader. So
Yeah.
so
All
take
right.
that,
Well,
Uncle Joe.
yes, Uncle Joe. Please take that.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I appreciate everybody coming out. It's good seeing lots of familiar names and new people up here. We'll be back
Yeah.
again next month, second Sunday p.m. Mark your calendars, and again, I will be doing a lot of this. Get your comments. It's a great opportunity to ask questions to Pat and I, since we're both on the board. And maybe we'll have other guests on here. I've got one that I'm gonna let maybe for the next one talk about a constitutional militia and what that is. So,
Yep.
all right. Everybody have a good evening.
All right. Good night, guys. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.